All right, today we're going to go over clips from last night with Fred VanVleet's game against Washington. They won by 10. Fred had 27 points on 10 of 21 shooting and 7 assists. But just talking about like when I'm breaking down a game and I'm watching players play and trying to evaluate and teach players that I teach and try to learn, more things from players that I watch on a nightly basis. I try to take players with average bodies, not necessarily all stars all the time, but players and what they do to sort of create offense. What do they do, to create situations depending on their situational skill set and their position. So Fred's like 6 feet tall. He's not, he's not Luka. He's on 6'7", 6'8". He's not, Josh Giddey, who's 6'8". He's average 6 foot, average length, just an average player, a good player, don't get me wrong, but so it's probably more relatable to most of the players that we work with. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and just sort of go over some stats things before we get into the video clip. So just going in my database right now. Currently, I have Fred a point guard position ranked number 20th in the league. All right, and again, when you go into players, it's always good to see where they stack up in their position, right? Not only like the league or what division you're in, but like all the players at their position, how they stack up. So obviously the obvious ones, points, rebounds, and assists, he's pretty solid across the board. 19.8 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 13th in scoring, 11th in rebounding, and 10th in assists. But what I like to really look at a lot is efficiency. How do they shoot the ball? Do they shoot it from the field? Most importantly, like, are they efficient there? Fred's shooting at 39%. That's where probably he falls, a little bit short on this. 30th in the league at his position. And I think that to play this position, not only do you have to score and you have to dish out assists, but you have to be efficient. And I think that that's where the league sort of headed towards as far as putting 5 efficient players on the court. But he does so many good things. I mean, he gets to the free throw line. He's got a really high assist to turnover ratio. Shoots the free throw at 90%. Free throw is one of the more valuable shots in the league. And then the 3-point shot shoots sort of, in the middle there, right around 20th in the league at 35.1%. I think from shooting the three, if you can shoot anywhere from 36 up, I think that's a pretty good sort of evaluator as far as, what your point guard or player in general should be shooting from the three. Now, not only do I like to look at this, and then look, the usage is important. He's 16th in the league at his position, which is good. You see the assist to turnover ratio is at 3.5, which is 10th in the league. Now, when you look at point guards in general, and my database, I could track just sort of every position how they rank up. We talk about the percentages. So what should your guards be shooting from the field, generally? I like to take the top 10 in the league at that position as well as top 30 because 30 teams, 30 starting point guards in the league. So if you look at field goal percentage here, obviously the best is TJ McConnell at 52. But if you look at it, mostly if you look at middle of the pack, top 30, so anywhere from like 10 to 20, you see that like 45, 46, 47, that's sort of like the middle percentage that, most good point guards should be at. You see how free throw percentage is important. On the top 30, most of them are in the 80s. I think the last 29th and 28th, 29th and 30th, it's in the high 70s. But if you look at it, shooting free throws and making free throws are really important. Middle 80s, if you can get that. And again, just talking to your guards and talking to the players that we work with, like that's an important stat for sure. Middle of the pack, low to middle 80s. 3-point shooting, obviously an important part of it. All right. Now we look at assist to turnover ratio. I think anywhere over 2.5 to 1 is really good. But you see like, Tyus Jones leading the league at 5.56. As you go through in the top 30, you see like middle twos, higher twos, like 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. Again, you want to take care of the ball. We're talking about efficiency, shooting the ball, scoring, being an option there, but also taking care of the ball. And then the last thing that's important is getting to the free throw line. I think if you can get into the free throw line and generate, generate points where you don't have to like isolate all the time and score. If you can make free throws consistently in the mid 80s and get to the free throw line, I think you're putting yourself and your team in great spots. You see, as we see down here, free throws attempted, Luka leads the league 11 a game. But I think if you can get to the free throw line somewhere in that 3.5 to 4.5 times a game, that's a solid number, to get to the free throw line. All right, so just looking at those numbers, and I think it's important, like when you're trying to get players better, not only know the drills, know the skill sets, how to correct them, and how to watch film with them, but also talk about the stats that, look, these are some of the better players at your position and what they average. And I don't think you should give freakish numbers and freakish goals, but somewhere in the middle there, so at least they know where they stand when it comes to those stats. All right, so now let's take a look at some video from last night, and just let me share my screen here. Share screen. All right, so we're just going to go into the game and just this is just, again, 12 clips in sequence of the game. Some good things, mostly good things, a turnover here and there, and then just some of the reads that were made last night. So first things first. All right, he shoots 35 from the three. We saw that. All right, he's going to come now, pick and roll. Defender's going to come under, step back, and shoot the three. Now, again, the read here on the screen roll. All right, screener does a good job setting it, flipping out. All right, now the big on the switch is going to play D. So instead of shooting the long two, so much space in between him and the defender here. Just steps back, shoots the three. The left wing is probably where he shoots most frequently from three. I think he shoots about 37%, and he shoots, I think he attempted about 185 from that spot. But anytime a defender on a switch, when they get caught up in the switch and they don't switch up and pressure the ball, you have all this space. You got to be able to shoot that shot. Step back, not really crazy in the step back, just step back, shoots a contested three on the make. All right, here defensively, he's number one in steals, 1.7. All right, now I think it's important with our guards on the ball is always to show your hands. You see it all the time if you watch NBA broadcasts about defending without fouling, but I think it starts with hand positioning. And just like if you're going into football and offensive linemen and blocking, like hand positioning is really important with fouling. If you play down, not only like when someone tries to drive by you, the first thing you're going to do is try to hold. Always having your hands up, always showing your palms, and always being active. I don't really like hunting steals, but I'd rather hunt deflections because you could probably get just as many steals or more by just being active. But here he creates the steal see his hands go up right there. Always have your hands up. A couple of things. Easier to contest shots. It's just quicker to get to the ball. Also, when they drive, you could always show your hands, and it's always important to show the referee your hands so you're not, so they don't really just judge you on a little bit of contact and just assuming that you're going to reach because your hands are down. So he does, Fred does a good job having his hands up, being active, getting in there and creating the steal. All right, here pick and roll comes up. All right, now he's going to create a little bit of contact and foul. It's a little bit iffy in the end one, but just watch what happens here and how much like using fakes and getting that defender up is important in getting to the free throw line and creating space and opportunity to score. He does a good job coming off. Podol does a good job screening. And again, I think it's so important to have your big set great screens to not only get hits, but at least to veer off the screen and roll to be able to just create opportunity. So now on the drive, he sees the defender coming on his back, coming around that screen into his back area. He makes contact by veering to his right, making contact, trying to sell it to the referee. And at the end, instead of just trying to pop up on the shot, uses that ball fake, gets the defender up. And anytime, even though he's showing hands, anytime you can get that defender off his feet, it's going to create opportunity to maybe get to the free throw line. And again, getting to the free throw line is an important part of it. He went 3 for 3 last night. He goes to the line 4.1 times a game. But watch that defender. You just got to, And again, as we're teaching on-ball defenders, staying on the ground, staying on your feet, because the more you leave your feet, the more opportunity you're going to give the offensive player to get to the free throw line and sell the call. All right, here's just going to be a drive lefty finish. Not a lot of times it's just easy plays. It's not really spectacular, just home runs in every play. But here's the thing: just watching the change in the speed, right, and how high he gets up off the glass. And I think getting high on the glass as a point guard or any guard finishing. Now he finishes. He's not really a great finisher. He finishes about 49%, shoots at 49% at the rim, which is 65 is elite. I would say 55 decent. And anything under 50 is probably not going to be great, especially how many times you should be able to get to the rim as a point guard with the ball in your hands so much. But watch this, the touch he has on the finish, being able to finish weak-handed and getting that ball that high off the glass. I think the higher you finish off the glass, it's softer on the rim. It's harder to block because everybody's trying to weak side block or pin it from behind. Like laying it up off the glass and having that touch is an important trait for a guard. All right, pick and roll action here. Just real simple, contested three, but defender gets held up on the screen. All right. And again, defender gets screened, helps, in the drop and back. You have all this space. I think the way the game is today and shooting so many threes that if that defender is going to be that far off and they're challenging you to shoot that, even though this defender is going to try to get that challenge, that you got to be able to shoot that shot. You got to be able to, keep that defender honest. You got to try to make one or two, obviously pull that defender up. Now you could drive it. But if that defender is going to be that far back on these screens, you got to be able to be in position to shoot. All right, just to drive and finish. But again, the importance of using fakes. Porzingis goes for the first one. That's what you want to do as an offensive player, is trying to get that defender off his feet as much as possible. They go for almost every fake. Almost every fake they're going to go for. So anytime you get the ball, transition, close out, just throw a fake. Get that defender up, and now you can drive. Opens up that middle drive. Right. And what I really like about this, and I teach all the guards that I work with, is to make contact with the big, make contact with that help. Watch as he drives at 24 and he just barrels in and just doesn't veer off or straight. He actually makes contact and gets to the left and makes contact with that defender, and now is able to, not that long arm, but being able to make that shot and that reverse layup off the glass. All right, transition three. Like I said, that's his most popular spot to shoot threes from. If that defender is going to be backing on his heels, it's not a real high percentage shot, but a shot that's shot a lot at all levels now. And if that defender is going to be back, again, keeping them honest about just being able to create space for shoot. Pick and roll here. I believe he's going to hit Podol on that short roll. And talk about it all the time. As an offensive player, you want to draw two on the ball. And when you draw two on the ball, you got to make him pay with, especially if it's going to be on pick and roll, hitting that roller, that short roller, or if they're going to jump the roller early, trying to go weak side with a cross-court pass or hitting a spot-up shooter or a cutter. Here, they're just going to put two on the ball. Right? Podol's one of the better. If you're going to watch bigs and how to screen, how to finish, how to shoot floaters, and how to be effective on rolling to the rim, watch Jacob Podol, one of the best in the league. Started the season on San Antonio, was originally played on Toronto, drafted out of Utah, plays in San Antonio. Now he plays in Toronto, but it's such a great option to have when they're going to put two on the ball space, and then having Podol able to catch it. And on that roll catch, you're going to be able to, roll and finish, shoot that little jump shot, a floater, or catch it, defenders roll up and be able to make the pass to open players. Here, Podol just puts it on the floor and finishes it. All right, screen coming, hits Podol again with that little floater. Podol probably has the best floater, of any big in the league. Oh, sorry, like that. All right. Now, let's just take a look at defensively what happened in the play. All right. As they put two on the ball, everything's stretched out, corner, corner. So now the defense is stretched out a little bit. You have a player in the dunker. Here, you got to defensively on the weak side. In my opinion, you have to pull over and try to meet this big as early as possible. If you let them roll into the, into the dot area, into the red, deep into the red, it's going to be really hard to stop them. In my opinion, you pull this weak side defender over, and then if they're going to pass over the top, the back defender has the next pass, and then they'll just drop down, and cross out. But here, it's just too much space. They draw two in the ball. VanVleet does a great job at just locating Podol in the paint, and that's just too deep. That's just too deep to stop. He catches it, able to shoot that little floater. And I think that, again, that floater for bigs, it's a killer. It's a killer to be able to develop. We're almost done here. I think we got about 3 more clips. All right, here's just an easy split, get to the basket. Now, he didn't make the shot here, but again, like so many of our guards, when we get in the paint, we try to like get away from contact. I think teaching our guards to find a body. If it's their man and if it's their man and the defender's on their hip, find the body. Veer into that, sell the call, get to the free throw line, or at least you get a better angle. Here, the help defender comes up and he makes a point at making contact right here. You see how, again, defender's doing a good job showing his hands, and that's why they didn't get the foul call. But barreling that shoulder legally into that big to be able to create contact, also create space to be able to give him a better shot at the rim. All right, 2 more clips. Anything that you can do to get that defender off balance, you got to be able to do it, and you got to read that balance. Kobe always told me, look, offensively, I'm trying to jab, fake, anything I can to move my defender side, back, forth, or up or down. Here, VanVleet does a good job on the pick and roll, watches, defender guarding him under the screen. So now he's thinking that he's going to go through. Watch the balance of the defender right here. All right, he's back, he's to the right. VanVleet just makes him pay for it, gets it up, and again, enough space to be able to get that shot off pretty cleanly. All right, last play here, there's going to be a turnover. Again, these lob passes to bigs, like from this angle, I don't know, like lobs and things, I don't mind it. But when you have this angle, when there's going to be weak side here, as a point guard, you got to be able to see that. You got to be able to see that Porzingis is in a little bit. Throwing that lob is just going to be a sketchy pass because he's fronted, and you got Porzingis behind that could really guard it up. So, look, not everything he's going to do is perfect, and that's fine. So that's today's breakdown. I think that, look, when you're watching players play, like watch what they do well, watch the shot, like watch the general shots they get in offense. Like for me, for point guards, being able to shoot the spot up shots, give it up early, get it, spot it up, be able to shoot that, get to the rim on whatever finish you want to work on, right hand, left hand, mid-range pull-ups, pick and rolls, sides, slots, mid, obviously. Finishing is an important part of the game. Getting to the free throw line, you're trying to create contact when you're on your drives, take care of the basketball, make good reads, around the court into things that you're doing. If they're going to put 2 in the ball, be able to make them pay with, passes to the roller, passes to shooters, passes to cutters. Got to be able to take care of the ball. In my opinion, you got to be finishing at least over 50% of your shots. And again, this is when you're in development and you have players that you work with while they play games, chart their shots. Where do they get their shots? How do they shoot? Are they efficient? Do they take care of the ball? What's their assist turnover? What are they shooting from the free throw line? How many times are they getting in the line? I think all those things are important. And when you're studying players, it's not just studying highlights. It's studying maybe some of the mistakes they make. Why do they get the shots that they get? Study the defense. What are the mistakes that the defense made? How can I teach my players not to make the same mistakes? So I think you could take multiple things out of possessions when you watch them play on a regular basis. Appreciate your time. Again, these things are really short. Trying to keep them under 20. Right now I'm at 19:23, so I'm going to try to get out of here. But I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. You hit me on social media or drop me an email. Appreciate your time. Thank you. And I'll be doing this again soon.